Hey, welcome back. It's Friday, and as it is Friday, it's time for another Friday Night Magic deck tech review. As usual, in my local game store, Friday Night Magic is played amongst other formats as Pauper. So I'm going to show you another Pauper deck I'm gonna be playing today. The last deck I showed you was Giant Gardens. That was a fast, aggressive deck with a much value on the board, and it was, to be honest, not that successful. So I modified it and came up with a completely different deck in the end. I played this deck. This is mostly borrows, but have some black cards in it. So let's call it Mardu. A Mardu Synthesizer deck that provides a lot of value using the Experimental Synthesizer, a card you could be familiar if you play Pauper. It's an artifact, a red artifact for 1 red mana that reads, if it enters or leaves the battlefield, you can exile the top card of your library and play this card until end of turn. Or in addition, you can sacrifice it for 2 generic and 1 red mana to produce a samurai token that is 2/2 white with vigilance. You can only do this at sorcery speed, but we won't do this that often. The trick is to utilize this when it enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield, not going to the graveyard, but for example back to your hand, giving you a lot of impulse card draw. We do this using a Glinthawk. That's a flying creature with 2/2. When this enters the battlefield, you have to bounce back an artifact back to your hand or sacrifice it. So you're gonna play it and bounce it back to get another impulse draw. We can do this with Glinthawks, but also with core Skyfishes. That's a creature also flying, but a bit more tough. It's 2 and 3 for 2 mana, and you have to bounce back a permanent of yours when this enters the battlefield. This can be a different type, don't have to be an artifact, but usually you bounce back the synthesizer. But you could also bounce back, let's say, an enchantment, bouncing back the Journey to Nowhere we use as removal in this deck. Beside the synthesizer, you could bounce back Navigator's Compasses, artifacts for 1 generic mana. When this enters the battlefield, it gives you 3 life. This keeps us alive in those matchups against aggressive decks, red burns or such. And in addition, you can tap this and make a land to a basic land type of your choice until end of turn. So this also helps us with mana fixing if we come to need black mana. We can also bounce back this Eco Wellspring. That's an artifact for 2 generic mana that lets you draw a card when it enters the battlefield or when it goes to the graveyard. In difference to the synthesizer, it has to go to the graveyard for the second trigger. but we can utilize it with deadly disputes to get the second triggered ability to draw another card. Using Deadly Dispute, the English copy, using Deadly Dispute, sacrificing the Echo Wellspring, give us 3 cards we draw and a treasure token. Some more card draw and value we get from Cleansing Wildfires. Cleansing Wildfires is played 4 times in the main deck. It's a sorcery for 1 red and 1 generic that lets you destroy a land, and its controller may search up a basic land and put it into play tapped, and then you draw a card. Targeting your own lands, you can fetch up a basic land and draw a card. And if you target a land that happened to be indestructible, like those artifact lands, you don't lose the land, you get another land and you draw a card. So this is card advantage and ramp in 1 card, so this is huge. And with the card advantage provided by the synthesizer, you have the possibility to play most likely everything you get from top of your library. Those artifact lands, the Echo Wellspring, the Compass, can also be sacrificed for Kuldota's Rebirth, giving you 3 Goblin tokens in the process, allowing you to have creatures to jump block, or little weenie creatures to attack, providing you additional damage on the board. Also, you can sacrifice them to the makeshift munition, in addition to the artifact lands, the compass, the synthesizer who triggers, and the Echo Wellspring, giving you another source of damage on the battlefield. On a different angle, we have some damage sources that deal damage, so we can win on the stack, so to say. It's direct damage by Galvanic Blast. That's an instant who makes 2 damage to any target, or 4 damage if you control 3 or more lands, what is easily done by the artifact lands alone. And we're gonna play Lightning Bolts. That is an instant that deals 3 damage to any target for 1 red. That should be known. So we can stay in game while all this happens. We play another Chainless Edict. We play Chainless Edict as another form of removal. We have the Journey to Nowhere here to exile creatures or let the opponent sacrifice creatures. Also, this can be flashbacked, giving additional value. In addition to this, we play some basic lands, of course. So we have a target to fetch up with the Wildfires, a Bazooka Bog in the main deck. So if we are not defenseless against graveyard strategies, and a Boros Garrison to bounce back the Bazooka Bog. As for the sideboard, I play 2 Gorilla Shamans, allowing you to destroy non-creature artifacts. That is great against treasure or artifact lands that are not indestructible, of course. So against Affinity, that is a strong deck in the meta still, against a lot of small creatures. Play some electric trickery. That is instant for 1 red mana, pinging for 1 damage to creature, or you can overload it, dealing 1 damage to all opponent creatures for 1 red and 1 generic. Also, more on the defensive side, we have Prismatic Strands that will win you games, or make sure you don't lose. It's an instant that let you choose a color, and until end of turn all damage from the chosen color is prevented. So for 1 white and 2 generic, you are safe from an opponent's attack, and you can flashback it by simply tapping a white creature you control. So it's also 2 for 1. Dealing with larger creatures or enchantments, we have here to destroy evil. That's an instant for 1 white and 1 generic that let you choose to destroy a creature with toughness 4 greater. That can be a Mia Enforcer, that can be those creatures that gives you the initiative or such. That can be an Ulamog, where this Ulamog creature with Annihilator too. I can't grasp it, what it's called. If you know what I mean, please put it in the comments. Against Graveyard Shenanigans, we play a Nihil Spellbomb. If this is sacrificed for Deadly Dispute or Kuldot's Rebirth, this also triggers, and you can pay 1 black to draw a card. So this is also not only against graveyards, but additional card advantage. I play 2 of those clerics, giving you the choice between 2 life points or destroying an enchantment of your choice, or exiling a graveyard, a single card in the graveyard. And if you need more direct damage, there is the 4th Lightning Bolt. I'm not playing in the main deck. Although this deck has not been provided with new cards from Phyrexia All Will Be One, I think this can still handle the decks of my opponents in my local meta. The last time I played was before Phyrexia All Will Be One was published, so I can't be sure yet, but of course I'm gonna report in the comments below. Last time I played it, I went 3-0-1 in a 4-round tournament, Friday Night Magic, only drawing 1-on-1, 1-to-1 on Infinity on slow play. Finishing, opponent was finishing the extra turn, 5th extra turn with only 1 life point left. Well, that's it.